is Mary Mehmet. I'm here representing Transition Framingham, which is a community organization. We've been around in Framingham for over 10 years, and our goal is to transition Framingham from fossil fuel dependence to local resilience, which sounds kind of serious, but I can assure you that our goal is also to make sure everything we do is more like a party than a protest. So we always have food, and we always have a good time, and we are always interested in getting to know the neighborhoods and bringing that fun of local resilience wherever we go. So please, however long you stay, avail yourself of the food and have a good time. Anyone who's been involved with Transition Framingham, just want to confirm that we do have a good time and wave to everyone. Thank you. We're so grateful to everyone for coming out tonight. I personally am a community gardener at a garden on the north side of Framingham, and we just gave away our last plot. We don't have any plots left. There's another garden called Pratt Street, which I believe is just about full also this year. So we really feel there's a need for more community gardens in Framingham. The other reason we know there's so much interest is for the past 13 years, Transition Framingham has done a vegetable garden tour of Framingham. And that is one of our most fabulous, most fun events. No matter where we go, if people are growing vegetables, they are happy. They are having a good time. They are going to talk to you for hours about all the different things they do for their tomatoes, and then they're going to give you free tomatoes. Like, it's nothing but fun. So we know that this brings joy to a lot of people. We'd like to spread that joy. Now, as I said, right now Framingham only has 2 public community gardens, and neither of them is fully accessible. So by the virtue of this CPC grant that is funding the design study that we're going to talk about today, we are hoping to bring more fully accessible, neighborhood appropriate gardens to Framingham. And so this is what we're looking for, to just start getting that started. So we're so grateful for the CPC. Anyone who was involved in the Community Preservation Act or CPC, you also want to wave, and yay, thank you for all your support. So that leads me to my thank yous. We're grateful to everyone who's made this project possible, particularly our planning department. I don't know if anyone from planning is here on this meeting, but if you are, please raise your hand. Let's give them a shout out. Including the director, Sarkis, who was at our meeting earlier, but I think he might be overstretched. Parks and Rec, our director, Jim Snyder, is here. Parks and Rec has been super supportive. The Agriculture Advisory Committee, I'm not sure if there's anyone from that committee, but again, they've been very supportive, so we're so grateful for that. Anyone who's been on the CPC, if you've been on the Community Preservation Committee, we're grateful for your support. And many, many community groups, including the Coburnville Tripoli Neighborhood Association. Anyone from CTNA, thank you for your support. And finally, all of our local politicians, including city councilors. So I'd like to welcome Leslie White Harvey to say hello.
Hi everyone, can I bring this down? That's my third stop. We were at Cushing Park for the egg hunt, and then Roosevelt Park for the same presentation, and now Bates Park. So very proud that we have so many parks in our district, and happy to see everyone here. Just waiting to hear what the community needs and wants, and I'm just here to support whatever the community needs, all right? I'm very excited. Transition Framingham and the city, thank you for taking the lead on this, and I'll just like to say welcome, and I hope we focus on the word community when we build these gardens, that even people who've lived here for 100, 80 years, 20 years, 15 years, 14 years, and new people that may come in the next week or 2 months or 2, that garden or whatever we do here belongs to them, and to always keep the word community in the forefront of what we're doing, and then the garden part. So thank you very much for giving me your time, and thank you everyone for coming.
All right, so thank you very much. That's perfect segue. I just want to tell you our meeting's agenda. So we have a consultant here from RDLA Associates, Ray, who's going to speak in a minute about the project and an overview. He's going to talk about the site analysis of this park. And then after that, we're going to hear from you, questions and answers, right? And we've got a microphone so everyone can hear. When we get to the questions and answers, we're going to ask that you come up to the mic. And again, if anyone who's showed up who needs translation, we still have translators here. They're happy to go to work for you. After the questions and answers, we're going to have a couple of activities for you to participate in, including a survey, a questionnaire, very brief, just to get your feedback, and some more extensive discussion about what's on the board and what you might like in a community garden, if that is of interest. and we'll be done by 4:30. Okay? Couple of other housekeeping things. You might have noticed we are being recorded. This is going to be videotaped by Access Framingham. Thank you, Access Framingham. We're super appreciative. Yeah, huge resource for our community. Please hold your questions until the question and answer period, which won't take long to get to. This is a brief meeting. And when you do want to speak, please come up to the microphone. And then when you leave, if you could stop at the table where you signed in and fill out a short questionnaire, very short, but we really could use your feedback. And if you are from the neighborhood and you see a neighbor who's not here, text them and get them over. It only takes a few minutes, and we'd love to show the board to them and talk to them about what's going on. And the last thing, they'll talk about at the end, but there will be a follow-up meeting in May 4th. More to come about that, so this isn't your only chance to give feedback. All right, I think I covered everything. I'm going to hand it over to Ray.
Thank you. I'm Ray Dunitz with RDLA, which stands for Ray Dunitz Landscape Architecture. We design community gardens, and we work with the local neighborhoods to ensure that the designs fit your needs and work for you in the best way possible. Our goals are to find locations for the community garden within Bates Road Park, and then we're not going to be designing the rest of the park. It can use, there are a few upgrades that probably could use, but we're just here basically to focus on the community garden. And we want to involve you in the process and get your feedback, and the question and answer period will be very valuable to us to collect your input. Our three design priorities are to promote inclusivity and accessibility. That means providing universal access to the garden, providing garden beds that one with any type of physical abilities can use. That includes like raised beds and that kind of thing, and provide other universal design considerations such as signage, nearby parking, and other elements. We also want to make sure that we have a very light footprint in the park, and we always keep environmental issues and sustainability at the forefront of our thinking. We are within an environmentally sensitive area with a wetland buffer. I think some of you are, we'll show you the line here, but somewhere out here comes from behind us. And then also make sure that our designs are responsive to your needs. So today I'm going to talk mostly about the site analysis that we've looked at from a bunch of different perspectives. Talk about a couple of optional sites for the gardens that we've thought about, and then get your feedback. One quick just update where we are. We started this project in February. We met with the working group a couple times. We've met with the city a couple times, all in preparation to meet with you. So this park is very interesting from a property point of view. The property lines from the assessor's map show that there are a series of parcels that are all kind of put together to make Bates Road Park. And some of these areas here indicate that they're called paper streets. At some point, they had planned this street here, Brackett, to come through here. They never did build that. And the whole park itself is about 2.6 acres. I'm sorry. We have a Little League field here, playground, basketball, shade structure, lots of beautiful shade trees along Bates Road, timber guardrail to prevent cars from driving in here, some chain link fencing as well, a maintenance gate to allow maintenance vehicles and the recreation staff to get in here. And then there are several openings along the timber guardrail for pedestrian access. Just want to point out a couple things that maybe you can always come up a little bit later, but this light blue line represents the wetland buffer. We need to stay 100 feet away from the wetland buffer, or we start to trigger some environmental permitting requirements. This, interestingly enough, both of these sites barely touch that border, but we can make some adjustments to make them work. The soils here are, as you can tell, not super well draining soils, but in our thinking about the community gardens, we're going to have a lot of raised beds, so everything can be detailed for draining well. Parking, obviously street only parking. We don't have a dedicated parking lot here. Water is an important aspect of community gardens, and we'll have to bring water into the park, but it's readily available. These dashed blue lines show existing water lines that we can connect to bring water in. So once again, we have two potential garden locations. This one over here to the west, this is facing north, is located along that wire fence. It's a good site. Not too many trees in that area. You want full sun for gardening purposes. One thing that we noticed today, after the bunch of rain that we've been getting lately, is that there is a drainage issue next to the ball field there. We'll have to address that, and we'll also need to address getting an accessible path from Bates Road to the garden. But that's one site. The other site is located to the east, in between the playground and the chain link fence and the woodland that's over there. Once again, has reasonable sun expectations for this purpose. It should be fine. What else can I say? Talking to Jim, this old swing set can be taken out to make way for the garden, and there are discussions about upgrading the playground material anyway, so it probably makes more sense to go with the existing playground. With that, I think I covered everything. We at this point would love to get, for folks that who's from the neighborhood here. Oh, we've got a bunch. Okay. If you all can come up to the microphone, we're recording this. It would be great to get some of your input and questions, and we'll hopefully be able to answer. Who would like to share or? Yep, come on up. And yeah, we really need this. If you could state your name.
Sean Bilodeau. I live down on Brackett, and my only concerns for it is that we have a terrible groundhog problem, and tons of deer just come through here every night. So that should be considered, and bunnies, of course, but yeah. But groundhogs are terrible around here. If you don't plan for those right now, they'll destroy everything. Oh, I'm sorry. If you don't plan on the groundhogs now, they'll probably destroy everything, and everyone will be upset about it. So definitely think about those, please. I deal with them every day, all the time in my yard. So, they're bad. And at first they're cool to look at, and like, oh, look at them. And then all of a sudden they destroy everything you did, and you're like, oh. So, other than that, I think that area sounds great just because the sun. Those trees block a lot of it. And you're right about the drainage. I come through here every day, so there's a lot of water. But this is awesome. But yeah, as long as you plan for those guys, I think you'll be pretty good. So that's the only thing I had to say.
Yeah, well, we did hear from the other one that they have deer as well. So, fencing.
Deer will sleep here at night and hang out. So you're going to have deer, you're going to have groundhogs, and you're going to have tons of rabbits. So as long, that's my only concern. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Would someone else like to ask a question or make a point or provide some input to help us with the design? Okay, can you please come up? Okay. Okay. I'll repeat that. I'm sorry, your name is Kristen. Wanted to advocate for keeping the swing set until it is replaced at another time. We are in, one thing we didn't mention, we are in the very early stages of planning. So our planning job is to collect all the feedback and come up with a plan that works with a cost estimate. We need the cost estimate to get funding to do this. So there is a funding cycle, there will be a funding cycle as well. So this isn't happening overnight. And the next meeting that we have, May 4th, I believe, we will be taking all your comments and coming up with some more definitive concepts. But this is really just to listen to what you have, and I hear you. We need a swing set. Now there are some smaller swing sets here, but not the same. Yes. Would you like?
Can you speak into the microphone? Will you be doing renderings on May 4th of what it might look like?
Yes. The question was, will we be doing renderings for the next meeting? Yes, we will. We're probably going to come back. What we typically do is come back with a couple of concepts. And the idea of the concepts is not to pick one or the other, but to pick what you like about one and what you don't like about that one, pros and cons of each. And then our third procedure after that is to synthesize all of those comments into one design. So yeah, we'll come up with those for the next meeting. Yep, absolutely. Yes, sir. You wanna come up?
Hi, my name's Corey. Just a question on like logistics of who gets plots within the community garden. I've been a member of a community garden in the past, and there's been, I guess, ways of people acquiring multiple plots and getting big plots, and so that's always a concern of mine. I'm not going to benefit from the park. You know, I have a lovely yard that I can garden myself, and so I think just having rules about who can get into the plot, keep it very micro-local, and also keep it for those who need it, those who want to do gardening but perhaps can't, because that's how I benefited in the past, and gardening's become a passion of mine. And so just those considerations for selection of who gets the plots. I don't know how it works like in the other community gardens.
Yeah. Does anybody from Transitions want to speak to that? Mary.
So so there's two public community gardens in Framingham. The Pratt Street Community Garden is mostly people from that neighborhood because it's mostly filled by word of mouth. And then a few who aren't, who have made connections there. The one that I garden at the Methodist Church is, again, mostly people from the neighborhood because most of our advertising is through word of mouth, or occasionally if we have extra plots, we put out a sign and it's who drives by. But I have also turned myself into a community garden tourist. Every city I go to, I look at their rules, and your rules are very typical of a neighborhood community garden, and we would be looking to model it on that kind of system. So, yeah, ideally you want people from the neighborhood, and that's what you go for. And yeah, I think that I said at the last meeting, also by natural selection, the good gardens that are most successful are usually people from that neighborhood. I mean, if you get someone who drives from a little bit further, but they're a fabulous gardener and they're a role model to others, like I think sometimes that works out too. But yeah, ideally it would be people from the neighborhood. And we again, Framingham doesn't have a big network yet of community gardens, and all the ones that we do have are pretty neighborhood based. So that's the model we're working off of. But thanks for asking that, and a good point, really good point.
Anyone else? Yep.
Yeah, Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming out here. My name's Jim Snyder. I'm Director of Parks and Recreation, and I know there's probably some talk beyond the garden about what may happen with the park. I don't want to steal the thunder away from this project, but we are going to be doing some work on the park over the next few years. It's probably going to be, 2 or 3 years before we circle back and look at the park kind of overall. In the short term, Adele and others have reached out to me about, can we please add maybe a piece of equipment or two to the playground, just to kind of spiffy it up just a little bit. So we are looking at doing that. We have a little bit of some grant money that we can put aside to do some of that work, just to spruce up this playground a little bit, make it a little bit more accessible. The garden will be its own kind of separate venture that we're looking at, or separate project, and then we'll be reaching back to the community over time and talk about additional needs for the park. So I just wanted to add that in there, but for today's purposes, we're here for the garden.
Thank you. Yes, Amanda.
Hi. I just know from gardening there's always stuff that you need to get rid of, and a great way to get rid of your old tomato vines and such is to compost them instead of hauling them out in trash bags. So I'm just wondering if that's something that can be part of the project. I don't know if there's limitations to where composting is allowed in the city or anything like that. But.
Excellent question. As soon as we're finished here, we have a little poll, a survey and a poll that shows images of everything that you want in the garden, and compost bin is one of them. So make sure you put your sticky dot there. But generally, yeah, we have designed a lot of these community gardens, primarily with the trustees of reservations, and they always have a water, for hose connection. They always have accessible paths, and they generally always have a compost area, not necessarily a bin. The groundhogs sound challenging, but we'll have to come up with a groundhog-proof solution. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yep. Come on.
I mean, for the groundhogs, if you're doing raised beds, you can maybe put like hardware cloth underneath it, so it just blocks them.
Okay. All right. Yep. Thank you.
I'll share with you too that there is another garden group that's putting together a proposal right now to look at fencing, specifically at Pratt Street Garden, because of the groundhog problems. So I know they have an idea, a concept of a 3-level system going below ground, some fencing in between, and then a softer kind of fabric fenced up top, which they felt, through some research might be helpful for this situation. I also heard something about going up about 3 feet with corrugated steel or something like that, because they can't climb and get up. So I know they're a nuisance, but that's what I've heard is potential solutions.
My firm designed the North American River Otter exhibit at Trailside Museum in Milton, and we're pretty good at preventing animals from climbing, I would say, because that little bugger will go down, go up, and they're very cute, but also very vicious. So we'll think of some creative ideas. Also with the deer, my father had a property in Virginia where I'm from, and he had like a 10-foot high plastic deer fence around it, and they still somehow got over it. I don't know. So, are you? Oh, question? Yep. Do you want to come up?
Yeah, I just have a question to ask.
Okay,
So, my name is Edward, and I would just have a question. Say we had someone who may have newly joined the community or might have newly joined in and has never done gardening, and we now have gardening beds and there's new beds, but they don't want to spend the money to maybe get gardening tools, do all the research. Would be there any way they could work with the community themselves, or if anyone would want to help, maybe bring in some of the more youthful people around, like maybe somewhere my age, maybe, hey, we're doing something and they're showing how to people to set up their own gardening beds, maybe have somewhere where tools may be donated, or maybe for a day they could be used if someone's tool breaks on spot. What do we do about that for like more community?
That's great. Thank you. Absolutely. And once again, our image board that's coming up has a tool shed, so that can be shared. You know, and certainly I'm sure as a community and a neighborhood, everybody will help. Hopefully, everybody will help everybody. But if you wanted to get together a group of kids your age to, you know, to work in the garden, and you know, I'm sure that we come up with some. I don't know if Transitions has like gardening programs. Yeah, you do. Okay, all right, because
Yeah, I'm a science teacher, and so I'll retire early if there's a group that wants to do that. No, but there are groups in Framingham. There's a woman named Sophia Hummus who does that at Hoops and Homework with children, and she's really good, and she's always looking to expand her reach. I think she would love, and Transition would work really hard to make those connections to get youth involvement. That's super important. And I know Diane, who's here, has done youth programs through her garden. So that, yes, we'd be thrilled. And if you want to borrow tools now, you can borrow them from the library. Yes, so the library often has programs for youth and for anyone can borrow tools from their library of things. And I can always and seeds you borrow, but you don't necessarily return. So the seed library is open now. You can get free seeds and free tools. All right. Other people who want to speak.
anybody see any hands? Okay. So I think we're in the activities zone now.
Okay, hi everybody. My name's Allison. I'm one of the organizers for the project. So I just wanted to tell you what we're going to do for the last 15 minutes of our meeting here today. We've got several activities for you guys to participate in. The first activity is getting put up behind me. This is the images board that Ray was referring to. So you can take some dot stickers and put dots next to the images of the things you would like to see the most in a garden here at this park. The second thing that we'd love for you to do before you leave today is Mary, I believe, has wandered back to the table where you signed in. She has a short questionnaire on a clipboard, and we'd love it if everybody could fill this out. It's only 5 questions, but it would be great if you could give us your feedback in written form as well, so we can put that into our plans for the next meeting. And then finally, if anybody wants to walk around the park with Ray or any of us, we can go look up close at any of these locations if you'd like to take a closer look. Before I wrap up, just a few other reminders. When you signed in, we have a little handout on the table. If you happen to get home today and you think of something that you wish you had told us, we definitely want to hear that. So please take a handout with our email address and send us an email if you think of other feedback. On the back of that handout is a save the date for our follow-up meeting on May 4th, which is when you can come back. We would love for you to come back and see what your input today has led to in terms of designs. So we'll have a second conversation about what that looks like. That all feeds into what will become the final designs for each park. And I think that's it. So thank you guys for coming, and stick around and participate in some activities with us, and thank you.